What's secretly on a man's mind when he likes you? We're going to dive into this conversation today. And please forgive me, I got an itch in my eye. So, ladies, if you could sit down, drop the ego, and be brutally honest for just 5 minutes. Please forgive me. Let me reframe that. If men could sit down, be brutally honest, and drop into their ego for out of their ego for just 5 minutes, here's what they tell you. And spoiler alert, it's not pretty, but it's the truth. But when I say honest, I'm talking about if they are honest with themselves, I believe that the reality is most people are in the dating marketplace because they want to get superficial needs met. They want to be entertained. They want to be they want to be entertained. They want romance, and they want physical connection. But what we've observed in relationships is that there is a lot more moving parts to a relationship than just entertainment, romance, and physical connection. And yet we just adopted that as our entry point into a relationship. But if we're really honest with ourselves, I really believe it's important to identify for yourself what's the purpose of a relationship, particularly for those of us in midlife. And I say midlife is after baby making years and before retirement. I think I have an eyelash. After baby making years and before retirement, because what's different about midlife is when you're in your 20s and 30s, you're oftentimes about your purpose is centered around starting a family and raising children together. But for midlife folks, we come to the table with luggage. We come to the table with baggage. We come to the table with our emotional stuff. And the hard part is trying to put a square peg in the round hole. But if people were really honest with themselves, and everything I'm about to share here, even though this conversation is directed to women, if men are watching this, this is true for men and women alike. If we're really honest with ourselves, this is what's going on. Okay, so I'm going to lay out about 6 or 7 different principles really quickly. And I want you to get a pen and paper, take notes, rewind this, because I want you to go back and really sit with what I'm about to share with you. But if men were being honest with themselves, this is what's going on inside their head. Number 1, I'm emotionally wounded and I don't know how to heal. Let me repeat that slowly, and someone write this down. I'm emotionally wounded and I don't know how to heal. Most men are walking around with unresolved emotional wounds, grief, shame, divorce baggage, and they have no clue how to process this. So they cope by shutting down, pulling away, or chasing dopamine. I kind of started this conversation about chasing dopamine. It's about entertainment. It's about romance. It's about physical connection. They're chasing dopamine. But the minute the relationship starts to become a little bit real, they start shutting down. They start pulling away, because I think the vast majority of human beings, and this is true for men and women alike, truly don't know themselves. And I'm really not talking about dating or relationships. I'm talking about life coaching here. So what's the elements to know thyself? I want you to write this down, okay? Some of the elements of knowing thyself is first, identifying what your love attachment. Oh, by the way, I just started to say it and I'm going to retract. I've got such squirrel in me. But identifying your love attachment style. This is in no particular order, this know thyself. But I invite everyone to identify for themselves, and for men to identify their love attachment style. If you haven't read these 3 books, and by the way, all the books I'm going to recommend today are listed below. I highly recommend checking out the book Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller. I know I sound like a broken record. I talk about these incessantly. I invite you to read Wired for Love by Dr. Stan Tatkin, Wired for Love, understanding your partner's brain and the attachment style that can help you diffuse conflict and build secure relationship. And lastly, I invite you to read Thais Gibson's book, Learning Love. Okay, why do we need to know our love attachment style? Because the reality is oftentimes we've been indoctrinated in this idea of love lot of times it's love at first sight, which is usually lust or limerence. And limerence is just extreme infatuation based on some physical and some, personality characteristics. But lust, limerence, and love attachment, and oftentimes humans operate from an insecure attachment style. So to know thyself starts with knowing your love attachment style. And let me just tell you, most humans rationalize their love attachment style as being secure because they're not honest with themselves. I'm going to tell you, most women, they do the test and they come up secure. And I'm like, you're just, this is how we rationalize our own behaviors in a way that makes us feel better than what the reality of what we are. Okay, so know thyself. Taking personal responsibility of your, taking personal responsibility of your actions. When you get triggered by someone, it's our responsibility to manage our feelings instead of pointing the finger at someone. We have a propensity to point the finger at other people whenever we're triggered, and we're not looking at those three fingers that pointing back at us. When we point our finger, there's three fingers pointing back. So knowing thyself means taking self-responsibility, and most importantly, self-awareness. Self-awareness is recognizing one's fears, one's insecurities, our negative judgments of others, how our actions affect other people, our limiting beliefs, our negative patterns that bring us pain, and then how to shift to love when we're experiencing all of this. That's the healing piece I'm talking about in this conversation. So if a man was honest with you, he would say, I'm emotionally wounded and I don't know how to heal. Now, some men are on a healing path, so they're doing that work, but the majority of human beings are not. And listening to podcasts doesn't count. Doing the work is doing personal development, self-help, spiritual work, and therapy. Actually doing the exercises to heal, that's doing the work. Listening to podcasts is just opening the door, but it's not doing the work to heal. Okay, number one, emotionally wounded, I don't know how to heal. Number two, I don't understand the mechanics of a relationship. I started this conversation earlier. Men in their 20s, they have this programming. We go to college, get a job, meet somebody, get married, buy a house, start a family. That's the blueprint. That's the mechanics of a relationship. And a man's sole purpose is to provide and protect. So we hyper focus on earning income to pay the bills. And that's the mechanics of the way men operate in relationship. He knows how to date. He knows how to date. Maybe he even knows how to impress you, but sustain a partnership, communicate when triggered, repair conflict, that's a whole different skill set. And most men were never taught this. We were never taught the mechanics of a healthy, happy relationship. If you haven't read the book, where is it? Oh, here it is. If you haven't read the book, The 7 Principles for Making a Marriage Work, take out the word marriage and replace it with relationship. By the way, this is by John Gottman. And again, all the books I recommend are listed below. This gives you some mechanics to a healthy, happy relationship. I even invite you to read this book. How to Be an Adult in Relationships, The 5 Keys to Mindful Loving by David Rico. Folks, ladies, you are no better at this. You guys, just because you want commitment more than men doesn't mean you understand the mechanics of a healthy, happy relationship. And again, beyond that blueprint of making babies, we're oftentimes think of how many couples get divorced when their children are grown, because they hyper focused on the children being the purpose of a relationship and not really understanding the mechanics to a healthy, happy relationship, which includes conflict resolution skills, but also having a shared purpose beyond raising children. That's just some of the mechanics. Number 3, I don't know how to build a friendship with a woman. We so hyper focus. Oh my God, you're so amazing. You're so wonderful. Oh my God, all based on physical attraction, all based on the stimulation of physical connection, that we actually don't know how to build a friendship. I just pulled out this book the other day. It's by Dale Carnegie, How to win and influence people, how to win friends and influence people. You know, we humans do a terrible job of actually building a friendship within relationship. I got to tell you something. If you speak to happy couples, the core of their relationship is centered around friendship. Friendship means trust. Friendship means I have your best interest at heart. It's about building a relationship on the foundation of trust. And we started this if we could drop our egos and be brutally honest with one another, but we don't operate by that way because we're clouded by lust, by limerence, by unhealthy attachment. And we don't know how to. It's about real talk. Many men skip over friendship and go straight for chemistry. Why? Because they don't know how to open up emotionally. Vulnerability feels like a threat, not a strength. By the way, please forgive me. I'm yelling. I'm just passionate about this. And so it's not men's fault about this. We were never taught this. Folks, we have been indoctrinated by so much garbage out there that men are the leaders of relationship and you're just supposed to sit back in your feminine energy and just let a guy lead because the masculine knows what he's doing. We are great at getting laid, those that are fortunate enough to get laid. I got to tell you something. There's a significant percentage of the population of men and women that can't get a first date to save their life. They're on the dating apps. They haven't taken care of themselves physically. They put together a poor profile of themselves. And so they barely get asked out. I'm talking about the ones that are actually actively dating. And I know plenty of you women are getting asked out by men after men after men after men. You have to learn discernment. By the way, if you need some support with that, that's my area of expertise. You see this link right here, jonathanasley.com/coaching. There's a link below also. Schedule a discovery call with me. My whole area of coaching is to help you discern which guys are capable of a relationship versus those guys that are going to use you and waste your time. Number 3, most men don't know how to build a friendship. Number 4, I don't know how to grow a relationship. I don't know how to grow a relationship. Once the initial excitement fades, he's lost. Growth takes work. And he's never practiced emotional intimacy. And so he'll sabotage or coast in mediocrity. He will sabotage or coast in mediocrity. You know, I'm sorry, I'm pausing for a second. I'm here. I know this sounds almost depressing. Almost sounds like this, what's the point? But the reality is this, the minute we invest in someone from an emotional level and we like someone, we become attached. And God forbid we get attached to someone who's even incapable of a relationship, who doesn't, it's one thing to desire a relationship. It's another thing to have the capacity and capability of being in a relationship. And then lastly, the vision for long term. It fascinates me how many couples do long distance dating and they never talk about the practical aspect of it from the very first conversation. And I'm like, that's because it's long distance. It gives you the opportunity to talk about that. But even if you live around the corner, knowing what's the purpose of doing this other than entertainment, romance, and physical connection. Number 5, if men were being honest with themselves and honest with you, they would say, I go at my own pace. I go at my own pace, which might feel like avoidance from men. He's not trying to mess with your head. He's just afraid to move faster than his emotional comfort zone allows. But here's the kicker. His pace might not align with yours, your reality. When a man says, let's take it slow, it's code for, I kind of like you. I like sex with you, but I can't commit to you. This is okay, let me reframe that for a second. This is after you're physically intimate with a man. If all of a sudden he shifts the pace from pursuit to let's take it slow. That is because he likes you. He likes sex with you, but he is either afraid of emotional commitment. He's unaware of how to build an emotional. He doesn't know how to build a relationship. I mean, all of that stuff. So he has to take it slow because he has to rewind because he went so fast in the beginning. Oh my God, you're so amazing. You're so wonderful. You're so hot, you know? And so he has to shift the speed, and men are going to go at their own pace. This is why I'm here to invite you ladies to recognize you are the leaders of your relationship destiny. Don't give that up to a man. But Jonathan, all the biblical people say there's God, it's man, and the woman is subservient to a man. I'm going to tell you that approach is a recipe for disaster. Now, I do believe in having a connection with the divinity, but I look at men and women as a teammates for one another, and their higher purpose is that connection with some sovereignty, with something greater than themselves. But be careful of the relationship coaches that tell you to submit to a man. That is a recipe for disaster because you're giving your power to them. And like I started this conversation, most men are rather clueless. Number 6, sex is often what's driving me. Sex is what's often driving me. It's not that he doesn't want connection. He just doesn't know how to lead with it. Sex is where he feels most alive, most confident, in control. Emotion, that's the wilderness to a man. So we are often driven by entertaining, romancing, and physical connection. And ladies, you suck it up. You suck it up. Where did love bombing come from? Love bombing comes from the fact that we can dump all of this artificial intimacy and we will get physical intimacy rather quickly. The reality is dating apps have turned into a giant hookup place. That's it. It's a breeding ground for hooking up. And as much as, I mean, sadly, it is 65% of where all relationships coming from, but it marginalized people to just a hookup dynamic. Because we don't know how to build a relationship. We don't know what we want. We're not honest with ourselves. And ladies, you are just as equally guilty of everything I'm sharing. And just because you want commitment more so than men doesn't make you any more capable. And again, watching a bunch of podcasts doesn't count. It's rolling up your sleeves and doing the deep inner work that makes a difference. And number 7, oh, you're not going to like this one. I'm focused on my own needs. I'm focused on my own needs. Look, he's thinking, do I like her? Do we work well together? It's not selfish. It's survival. But this is also a huge barrier to partnership because we operate from what we can get versus what we can give. And ladies, you are just guilty of this. Every time I hear a video where a woman says, God, if a guy can't take me out to a nice dinner, if he can't take me out to a nice date, it's all about what I can get. We don't operate from what we can give and being mindful of someone else's needs. Most humans in the dating marketplace operate from a silo of what can I get instead of what can I give. And most of the time, men are myopic. And myopic simply means tunnel vision. It doesn't make them bad people. So, what do you think of all this? Hey, look, I know this can sound demoralizing. I get it. But what's the purpose of understanding this, ladies? Stop personalizing his behavior as if it has something to do with you and take ownership. If you're really being honest with yourself, can you take ownership of these 7 areas within your own life? I mean, seriously take ownership instead of rationalizing how you're above it all. Can you stop trying to nurture him into emotional maturity? You have to be willing. You can't force a guy. If he's not willing to do the work, and when I say the work, it's recognizing our fears, our insecurities, our patterns, our negative beliefs, our judgments for others, and start peeling the onion on that. It's going to be problematic. And here's my invitation for all of you. Start choosing men who show up already doing the work. Not perfect, but capable of partnership, because that is the man who will meet you where you're at. He leads with commitment. He is committed to commitment. And if you want to identify those men, then in the very early on in the process, ask them, what does a relationship look like for you? Actually have him describe what it looks like on a day in, day out basis. Ask him, what does commitment mean to you? And ask him, what does commitment look like for you? Before that penis ever goes inside the vagina, ladies, do your due diligence. By the way, I'm assuming you want a partnership-based relationship. I forgot to say this in the very early on. I'm assuming you want a partnership-based relationship. And if you do, and if you have a long-term mating strategy, then operate from the place of intentionality versus this cavalier entertainment, romance, and physical connection. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know if it is. Post a comment below. I do my best to read them all in the first 24 hours. As always, if you find value in my videos, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos. And if you want to connect with me directly, there's links below. Schedule a discovery call with me. See if working with a coach is right for you. Check out my group called Midlife Love Mastery. Get the books I recommend listed below. Get my dating vows, which is imperative to have that, all listed below. Oh, and you can follow me on social media as well, all listed below.